And basically, I do plan to come back to the ring. All of the plan is in full flow now. I basically, my last fight, and I guess people will be wondering whether I quit boxing, whether I took a step back from boxing. I've never really dug into that much detail in it in a post, or, I have explained to people, but I've never really put it out there. So I never intended to quit boxing when I took a step back I had my last fight May 2 years ago. So now we're in February, just under 2 years ago I had my last fight. Now, for me, I never intended to take that break. My career was on full flow. I just beaten Isaacs in a really good fight, and I just achieved my dream of boxing at the O2. That was a dream that I had had since going into that arena. I boxed in the Indigo at the O2, but still, to go through that kind of experience and box at the O2 arena, where I see Gennady Golovkin box a few years ago, that I was on a good path. I had big fights. So in the lineup, I didn't have them offered to me as such, but I had big fights in the lineup. I never planned on taking that step out. But the business of boxing is a tough one, and COVID had messed a lot of fighters up. But for me in particular, like, I had 2 years out of the ring due to COVID. So I had that long layoff, and I was training all throughout. And I never really stopped, and it really improved me as a fighter, but it was tough. It was, almost like a case of burnout. But nevertheless, I had a few fights offered to me, and that tough fights that I accepted, tough fights that I didn't accept for, ridiculous reasons, some on short notice, crazy short notice, but neither here nor there. I was just inactive during lockdown. Now, I had that fight with Isaacs, and I broke my hand in that fight, and it just I had a few things that kept me out of the ring. Just business side of stuff, like promoters offering me deals, getting messed around. So basically, I took a step back after the O2 arena just because I was a bit sick to death with the sport, if I'm honest with you, in the training regards of it and the business side of it. And I needed a little bit of time out. I needed to take a little bit of time just to get away from the sport. I'd already been 11 years deep in the fighting, so for me, I was just getting burnt out. I wasn't able to sustain it as a business. What a lot of people don't know is, obviously they know boxers train hard, but you got to train really hard when you're a professional, almost to the point where you can't work. And of course, I'm more than happy to do that. We train 10 times a week, 6 days a week, but without making that sustainable living on the side, it's virtually impossible. And I've worked alongside the job, alongside boxing. I've been a postman. I've worked for the airport, building work, gym work. I've had multiple jobs. But when I was in the thick of it, in those tough fights, you need to dedicate your whole life to it. And basically, it just became unsustainable the way I was living, the amount of money boxing was bringing me, and I was just completely burnt out, and I was starting to get injured as well. So I decided to take a step back after a bit of a pivotal moment. And the step back has been perfect. It's allowed me to focus on building my social media and just getting back into boxing, get like the love of boxing. All of these videos I make because I love boxing. So the last 2 years, I've built up my Instagram and my TikTok, and I've amassed a following of, I don't know, maybe about 350,000 followers, which has just completely blown me away. I never ever thought that people would be that interested in it. I just thought no one really does these kind of videos. I want to kind of do it. So that's what happened there. And the idea was to kind of take that following into my career. So now I have people interested in my career, which is quite a marketable thing for promoters. And I also wanted to build a little bit of business on the side. For some people that don't know, I do go abroad and teach people how to box. I've been to the Maldives, I've been to Switzerland. I work in gyms. My job is to go into schools as well and teach people how to box alongside the training now, as well as creating the content. And I'm also a personal trainer, so I was building my business up for about 18 months, building the social media up, enjoying the time out, still staying fit. And I feel like now is the right time to come back. It's something I'm extremely hungry to do. I know so much more about the sport just from watching all of these fights and making these videos. So I will be back. I've filled out the licensing, the pro license forms, which means that all of that is sent off. The board have that. I've done all my fees. So now it's just a case of going through the motions, having my interview, my medicals. And I'm hoping within a couple of months I got my license back and we can crack on with the boxing career and we can get in those big fights. And now I have a massive following of support. So I appreciate all of that, and I cannot stress you how excited I am to return. Like it's going to be unbelievable, just the experience and just getting back in there. And yeah, I've been doing this for 13 years now, so I'm no novice, and I know that I can get in there and do what I've trained to do. So I'm excited about that, and I do hope to be back. I'm hoping around June time. But all of this licensing stuff, it takes time. So there's just a little update from me. Lots of people do ask whether I quit boxing, whether I'm going back. So that is where it's at. I took a little break. I'm going back. I'm just going through the licensing forms now. And hopefully within a few months, I'll be licensed as a fully fledged professional boxer and continuing my career.